Hello, I'm Nima Rajan. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said today that the CERB benefit for people who lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic will be extended by 8 weeks. The Canada Emergency Response Benefit pays up to $500 a week and was slated to last 16 weeks starting in mid-March, meaning that people who signed up for it immediately would soon run out. Trudeau says the economy is recovering from the mass closures ordered to fight the spread of the novel coronavirus, but there's still a long way to go. The Prime Minister also announced that the Canada-US border closure would extend until July 21st. While following weeks of protests, Canadians responding to a new poll say their trust in the police has taken a hit, likely due to anti-police violence protests. Still, the numbers show that the majority of Canadians remain largely trusting of their law enforcement agencies. Pollster Christian Bork says the results suggest a percentage of Canadians are asking themselves questions about how police forces are doing their work. He noted that 90% of respondents were in favor of police wearing body cameras. A third Beijing neighborhood has been locked down as Chinese officials frantically work to contain a new COVID-19 outbreak. Many of the recent cases have been linked to a wholesale food market, and authorities have been testing market workers, anyone who visited the market in the past 2 weeks, and anyone who came into contact with either group. There have been 106 positive cases since Friday. Canada's finance minister says gender and racial inequalities will be considered as the government looks to make changes to the slate of COVID-19 benefit programs. Bill Morneau is promising to look at how the emergency measures might impact women and men differently, while also looking at how planned adjustments could affect racialized communities across the country. The pandemic's economic effects have been disproportionately felt by women and low-wage workers. The head of a group representing dozens of Northern Ontario First Nations is urging the federal government to investigate racism and the RCMP's use of force against Indigenous peoples. Anishinaabe Aski Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler says he will be writing to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau about calling for an independent and transparent investigation into systemic racism in the National Police Force. 2 Indigenous people have been shot and killed by police in New Brunswick this month, and video has surfaced of the violent arrest of an Alberta chief in March. Lawyers for a Chinese tech executive battling extradition to the U.S. are accusing American authorities of misleading the BC Supreme Court judge presiding over the case. The defense team for Huawei's Meng Wanzhou say the U.S. case records are inaccurate and based on deliberate misstatements of facts and material omissions. The U.S. is seeking to extradite Meng on fraud charges for Iranian sanction violations, charges that Meng and Huawei deny. Well, as parts of Ontario move into Stage 2 of the province's economic recovery plan, numerous documents have been distributed to guide businesses to a safe resumption of operations. For restaurants and bars, that guidance includes an anti-crooning commandment, meaning no singing or dancing allowed in areas where customers are permitted, which is the outdoor seating. Singing is also banned in childcare settings and discouraged in places of worship. The Provincial Ministry of Health says the ban is rooted in science. Hundreds of housing advocates across BC are meeting up online for a province-wide virtual event. The get-together will be hosted by the BC Nonprofit Housing Association, with several speakers from the housing sector. Topics set for discussion range from the need for a safe drug supply for supporting tenants while maintaining physical distancing during COVID-19. Alberta's suspension of environmental monitoring because of COVID-19 is taking a toll on the scientific consulting industry. Jay White, the head of the province's Society of Professional Biologists, says some members have lost virtually all their business, leading to mass layoffs. He says the move is also causing an exodus of expertise from Alberta as biologists look elsewhere for work. Embracing a new priority, President Donald Trump is set to announce executive actions on police procedures. The Senate Republicans are preparing a package of policing changes as the GOP responds to mass demonstrations over the deaths of George Floyd and other Black Americans. It's a sudden shift for the Republican Party that shows how quickly the mass protests over police violence and racial prejudice are transforming national politics. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell declared that Republicans are developing a serious proposal to reform law enforcement. Hong Kong's leader says she hopes opponents will not demonize and stigmatize a national security law being drafted by Beijing for the semi-autonomous territory. The proposed law is being designed to curb subversive activity. Critics see it as an attack on Hong Kong's promised judicial autonomy and personal freedoms and fear it will be used to silence any dissent. Carrie Lam is warning that people who would demonize the law pit themselves against the people of Hong Kong. India says at least 3 of its soldiers have been killed in a confrontation with Chinese soldiers along their disputed frontier high in the Himalayas, where thousands of troops on both sides have been facing off for over a month. The Indian Army said in a statement that a violent face-off took place with casualties on both sides. China accused Indian forces along their Himalayan border of carrying out provocative attacks on its troops, leading to serious physical conflicts between the sides. North Korea has confirmed that it has demolished an inter-Korean liaison office in a, quote, terrific explosion. This is a dramatic move that raises tensions in the region. The building, which was located on North Korean territory and had no South Koreans working there, was mostly symbolic. But it's still likely to be the most provocative thing North Korea has done since it entered nuclear diplomacy in 2018 after a U.S.-North Korean standoff had many fearing war. A 4-day work week is being tested in Nova Scotia in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. The 9-month pilot project began yesterday in the municipality of the District of Guysborough. The chief administrative officer says he began thinking of the change after the municipal office was forced to readjust its operations in response to the outbreak. Under the plan, municipal employees have chosen to work 4 9-hour days in 2 shifts, either Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday. Well, that'll do it for today's news update. I'm Nima Rajan. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.